about real people, real stories, real life. And here are your hosts for the third chair, Peter Grigg and Doug Bazeski.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the third chair. We're continuing with a special guest, Monique Foster. I hope you saw the episode from last week. You know how funny and passionate and yet serious she is. And we're looking forward to hearing more from her. We would like to offer this disclaimer. Our guest's journey deals with some dark areas of her life. And so if children are watching, I think it would be a good idea to consider watching this at a different time without them present. There's some very adult issues that our guest experienced, but we believe people will greatly benefit from hearing from her journey and learning from her experiences. Please welcome Monique Foster. Welcome back to this episode of the third chair with our special guest, Monique Foster. Monique Foster.
You stumbled on that one.
Well, I have issues, sister. I have issues.
He had a long week.
He had a long week.
We could do an episode on his week.
It's like the beer, the chicken, ice cream.
Yeah, I got all these things I love to eat, and I'm always on a diet. So anyways, I encourage you to catch last week's episode where we have talked about some pretty intense stuff. And we're going to start out this segment asking Monique about the idea of depression after being hurt by people and enablers. And so that's my question. How have you been able to forgive people that hurt you? And by that, I mean, as we mentioned last week, people that sexually assaulted you when you were a child. And how were you able to do that?
I think he's talking to you.
Oh, okay. Peter.
All right, let's rewind that.
Forgiveness. Gosh, that's such a big word. Yes. The answer, I mean, in the simplest form is yes, I've been able to, but it's taken a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work, and it doesn't happen all at once. And just because you forgive them today doesn't mean that tomorrow they are forgiven, because sometimes you have to forgive again. Years ago, so we moved to Colorado 9 years ago, and 3 years into that of being here, our church bought a new building. And there's so many things that are going on in my head right now. Forgiveness came, and a release for me came during a service where we were getting ready to open the new building, and we went to worship and sing and bless this new place, and the carpet hadn't been laid yet, and they said to write your name on the floor, write a story, write something that means something to you. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I felt this life force inside of me that just wanted to get out. And that life force was forgiveness. Mm.
Wow.
So on the floor, I wanted to write my abuser's name and my other abuser's name. And I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was shaking and I was sobbing. And I just kept feeling this pull and this urge. And Jesus says forgiveness is 7 times 70. Mm-hmm. You just have to do it. You just have to do it. And one of my first friends that I made here in Colorado, she was there. And I went over to her sobbing, and I said, I just need help because I need to do this, but I cannot do it by myself. So I told her the names, and she wrote them down. Mm-hmm. And all I could muster in that moment was faith as small as a mustard seed. I mean, truly, that's what it was. It was like the tiniest little glimmer, and I was able to write, I forgive you.
Wow.
Wow.
I couldn't do their names, but I could write, I forgive you.
That sounds to me, in part, in what you're saying is the act of forgiving someone is like really deliberate.
It absolutely is. And you don't forgive perpetrators, people, whatever you want to put on it. You don't forgive to make them feel better. You forgive. For me, forgiveness was about letting go, that weight that held me like this for so long. And I was able to do it in that moment because I felt the need. I felt everything in me spoke to me to do it. And I walked out of there sobbing, but standing and sitting taller and understanding who I am, and the strength and the courage that's actually inside of me. The old wires and the old tape that was far worn out. Remember tapes? And you listen to that same song over and over again, and it stretched and it recoiled and it stretched, and it got all
1970s.
It got all jammed up, and you stuck your pencil in there, and you remember, and you stuck your pencil and you fixed it.
Yeah.
That's what I was dealing with, and I that in that moment I was like, okay, I don't have to rewind this tape anymore. I don't have to own it anymore. This is not my secret to keep, number one. And realizing that it wasn't my secret to keep anymore was refreshing, because I've been keeping a secret for years. And being able to let it go and walk out a little bit taller, it was everything to me. It lit something in me.
That's really remarkable. I think a question that people would also have is, even though we forgive someone, that doesn't mean we don't think of things like setting healthy boundaries with regard to that person and things like that. Have you found that to be the case?
Man alive, yes. So this person is still in my life and will probably be in my life until they die or I die. And I encountered them after that day about a year later at a wedding, a family wedding, and things were said to me as abuse was happening to take away my identity. This was part of the manipulation and the control. So I never had a name. I was always referred to as kiddo, or he called me my mom's name, and never by my full name, never by Monique, never. And if he tried to call me Mo, I would correct that, because I corrected everybody. I don't just let anybody call me by Mo. It's like a family thing up until recently. And at this wedding, I remember him coming up to me and saying, and it just irked me when it happened. And he called me kiddo. And I remember rising, like I felt this well inside of me of just courage and strength. And I just looked him dead in the eye and I said, kiddo has been gone for a really long time. My name is Monique, and you will remember that. And I remember my husband, oh my gosh, he saw the whole thing, and he was like clear across the room, and he beelined it for me to make sure I was okay. And that was the moment of what I did at church in releasing this heavy weight I've carried for 20 years has now transpired into, I don't have to wear this cloak of shame anymore. You did this to me. I did not do this to me. I was a kid. And that little girl that was being abused, that teenager, that young adult, I saw her in a completely different way in my heart and in my mind's eye. She was there and dancing, and all I could feel was, you're protected now, and it's okay.
And it seems like it's a sense of confrontation too of the perpetrator, and you letting them know that you know the deal, what really happened, and it's and that I'm strong enough to forgive, but also don't mess with me.
Yep.
You know, you won't manipulate me
Anymore.
Yeah, boy. Was there, you know, you mentioned that some of these thoughts about getting to a place where you could forgive, part of that was at church, part of that was with a friend that supported you. Did you feel like the message of the church was relevant here? And if so, like, why not, if you heard, like, forgive your, you know, whoever offends you 10 years ago, why did it not seem to have as much of an impact on you then as it did this particular time?
I think I was naive, and I was so wrapped up in my own hurt and my own shame that I couldn't see that side of it. So, you know, there's a part in the Bible where, and I'm really bad at, I'm terrible at Bible verses, but there's a part where they're going to stone Mary Magdalene, I think it is.
The lady caught in adultery?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jesus bends over and he starts writing something in the sand. And in the Bible,
it's one of the 4 Gospels.
they never say what he wrote, right?
Yeah.
It's up to your interpretation, correct?
Yeah.
So I had a pastor one day ask me, what do you think that, when I was working through my trauma, what do you think that was? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Well, what would Jesus write in the sand, you know? And he said, do you think it could have been each of their sins? And that's when he said, he without sin cast the first stone. And I was like,
Wow.
Yeah.
that's an excellent way to think of it. And when I heard that, it flipped a switch in me. And then the way it all happened was very, you know, ironic, I suppose is the word. When I heard that, and then we had this new church opening, and I wrote the name, and I did my friend wrote the name, and then I wrote, you know, I forgive. And then I had this whole forgive 70 times 7. And then I had this encounter with this person. It was okay for me to be angry. It was okay for me to not trust, to build boundaries, but not barriers. Barriers mean I can't connect with people, but a boundary means I'm protecting myself. So figuring that out all in this time frame was freeing. It truly was. And my faith, I hold on to that like no one's business, because that's where I find my peace. Knowing that I have someone that I can give it all to and not have to be burdened by it is a beautiful thing for me.
Excellent. And after that very somber spiritual note, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Coffee of the Kentucky-Arizona Walnut Association?
It's kava.
The national coffee of Kawasaki, Japan?
It's kava.
Hiya!
Is it the secret elixir of the surfers in Hawaii?
Or is it the secret island recipe of Kona, Koala, Kauai, or Cola?
It's kava. Kava is Polish for coffee. And here at Kava Coffee, we focus on serving a delicious, high-quality cup of coffee in a space where love, coffee, and people mix into the perfect blend.
We value our relationships with our customers and our roasters. Buy locally whenever possible and truly have the homemade touch. Our pastries, syrups, and even our almond milk made in-house.
So come on in, relax, get some work done. Enjoy the Kava community, some encouraging words from the Kava Coffee Gang.
Kava Coffee.
Be awake.
Welcome back to our show. We've been having some hard issues here. Now we're going to talk about after you graduate from high school, and immediately after that, so life is a little easier, but it's still tough for you. You went to college. Where did you go to college?
Well, I didn't really go to college right away. Well, I kind of did. I went to Cal State Fullerton for a semester. I had no idea who I wanted to be, what I was going to be. And I finished a semester and I ditched it. Dropped out.
Did you cook at least in your room?
I live with my older sister. Okay. I don't know if I told you guys this. I went on my senior trip out of high school to Mazatlan, Mexico, where I drank like for a whole week straight and had a great time with a whole bunch of friends. And then almost didn't get back on the plane. Because you weren't allowed to be like tipsy or drunk to get on the plane. And I might have been a little bit of both, you know? I mean, depends on who you ask. But I made it on the plane.
You did.
I did. And when I got home, I was informed that I had about 24 hours to find somewhere new to live.
Oh, wow.
So I called my big sister and said, I need somewhere to live. Can I live with you? And she said yes. So I moved in with my older sibling. She and I have the same birthday. We're 11 years apart to the day, an hour. And lived with her for about 7 months. And also enrolled, I was going to Cal State Fullerton. And then I just didn't know what I was going to do. I worked for Chuck E. Cheese. Best job ever.
Oh, God.
Why was it the best?
Cheese.
Why was it the best job ever?
Because it's so much fun.
With the kids.
You mean I was a birthday hostess. I was a corporate training manager. I'd been working there since I was 15. I got to play Chucky or Helen Henny when I wanted to.
Which one's Helen Henny?
The hen, the bird looking thing with the purple little dress, little tutu thing.
I didn't know the rest of them had names.
Mr. Munch, Helen Henny, Pasquale. Oh, yes.
Let's see.
I can't believe I still remember all that.
Wow, I can't believe you put a plug in for Chuck E. Cheese on the show.
I did, sorry.
No, I'll send them a copy.
And then she lost her job. So then we got to a space of, oh man, I didn't make enough money to support both of us. So she moved back home with her mom because she's my half sister. And I moved in with my aunt and uncle. And man alive, all of a sudden I went from taking care of myself since I was 8 to I want you home by midnight. And you have to come home once a night for family dinner. And
once a night for family dinner.
I'm like, what the heck is that? Family dinner?
You said, well, I just cooked my own. Is that what you said?
Right? So I lasted, I think, 3 months. I paid rent. I lasted 3 months and got the heck out of there.
What was the hard part for you?
Family. Everything I wanted was there, and it scared the crap out of me.
It's an interesting observation.
So you just couldn't deal with it at that part of your life?
I literally packed everything I could in my car and left. I didn't leave a note. I just left.
What is your relationship with your aunt and uncle now?
They are my rocks. It's my family. My cousins, I have a girl and a boy cousin. They're like my siblings. They always have been. And they are probably the epitome for me of unconditional love and support. Like, they never held it against me. I think they knew without knowing why I left, but I always felt pretty guilty about that I just up and left. I mean, I left my cousins who I was their big sister, and I don't know.
They had to wait you out.
Did they have to wait me out?
Yeah. Wait till you
right?
realize.
I think they did, and it happened, but it didn't happen for a good 6 years, where I finally was like, man, that was not.
So what did you do after 6 years?
Well, so I left and I moved to Bishop, California, and I moved back in with my mom and my stepdad. But they were never home, so I had their apartment to myself Monday through Friday. They come home Friday night, stayed there Friday, Saturday, and left Sundays. I was basically on my own. And after 2 years of that, I was 19, 2021, I worked in Mammoth as a ski school coordinator.
So you're a skier?
I'm a skier. I'm an avid skier.
So what do you like about skiing?
Oh, skiing's awesome. What's not to like about skiing?
Do you snowboard as well?
I can snowboard, but I'm not well, okay, so I snowboard when there's fresh powder or fresh pow, and I ski when it's hard and crusty, because when you fall on the hard stuff on a snowboard, it really hurts. And I blew my knee out in high school skiing up at Kirkwood in Lake Tahoe, so I don't really like to ski powder. Okay. I can, I just don't enjoy it. It's not my favorite, but when you fall on the snowboard and powder, it's just a ton of fun. You laugh and you don't get hurt, and life is good.
So do you like going fast, or you like just being in the moment there?
I just like being in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, did you catch her with that ski lingo? If you fall in the pow. Thought I'd point that out. That's if you fall in the pow.
If you fall in the pow, it doesn't hurt, man.
If you fall in the pow, yeah.
You gotta go in the trees every once in a while.
Yeah.
I did get stuck in a tree well once with one of my really good friends.
You got stuck in a tree?
In a tree well. So when it snows a lot, the tree wells are like the base of the tree, and it is like a well, and if you get a little too close, it kind of sucks you in. And we got stuck in there for because we were laughing. I mean, the reality is we could have got ourselves out, but we were having too much fun, and we were laughing so hard that we just kept getting sucked into the tree, and kind of hugging the tree for a little while until we decided to take our skis off and chuck them and then climb out.
Did you have to wait for the St. Bernard with the brandy to come rescue you guys?
No, you need the cute ski patrol guys.
Why aren't they here yet?
Where are they?
Where are they?
So I ended up in Mammoth, and I met my husband when I wasn't even 21 yet. I'm not going to lie. I might have been in the bar before I was 21. And his brother had been letting me in without letting me know, without realizing I wasn't 21. He thought I was 21, but I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And then when I turned 21, then he realized that he'd been letting me in for like 9 months without.
Did he work in the bar then?
He did. My husband's brother was the bouncer. He was the gatekeeper. And I didn't know it. So how that all unfolded, this is so bad. My really good friend Kat and I would go with her, and she was old enough.
Aren't you the roof hauler?
No, not at this point. Okay. I had to let go at some point, right?
Okay.
So the rules went out the door. This was my wild days. They were very short-lived. So my friend Kat would get me into the bar because she was friends with my brother-in-law, and then we'd go up dancing. And I didn't really drink, but I would go dancing a lot. And then I met my husband at work because he was a ski school instructor, and I did not like him at all. He was annoying.
So you married him? Yeah?
He was crazy annoying. Oh my gosh. So I skied up to this guy who was a mutual friend. I didn't know it though. And I was like, hey, Kat and I are going to go to the bar tonight. I was 21. I turned 21 on January 26th, and on January 6th, and then I went to the bar on the 21st. And
you waited 2 weeks?
I waited a whole 2 weeks.
But you already were going to the bar.
I know, but he didn't know I wasn't 21, so it was okay. So my husband shows up, and he puts his arms around me, and he's like, you're the woman I've been looking for all night. Okay, this is where I was in the space of, I'm not gonna hang out with any guys that just want to get in my pants. Like, I just don't have time for that crap. So I wasn't going to do it. And he was following me around all night long, like super annoying. And he finally said, will you go skiing with me? And I just said yes, so he'd leave me alone. Like, for real. I just wanted him to go away. And I walked down the stairs. I was sitting on the stairs. I lied to him. I told him I was leaving. And I was sitting on the stairs, and I was talking to the bouncer guy, his brother. I didn't know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy will not leave me alone. And then my husband comes walking down the stairs. He's like, hey, see you tomorrow. All right. So I just figured they knew each other, but that was it, right? No, it was his brother. I wouldn't figure out that it was his brother until we'd been dating for like 4 weeks. And then I got busted because I was,
You used your real ID? That was your mistake?
No! So, like 3 weeks later, my friend Kat and I are at the bar, and my husband, but at the time my sort of boyfriend, there was no labels yet, he kept trying to get me to come over for coffee in the morning, and I was not doing that. I was not. Like, coffee in the morning means coffee in the morning as far as I was concerned, so I would not do it. And Kat and I were at the bar, and we made bets. So we would make a bet. I'll pay $25 on the table. And I get to pick the guy that you're going to hit on, and I get to come up with the pickup line. I won the bet. And I told my brother-in-law that I won this bet, and he knew that I was dating his brother, but I didn't know that they were brothers. So the next day I was at my boyfriend's house, and I answered the phone, and it's his brother. And he was like, I know what you did last night. He was going to tell on me, so I just told him myself.
You cut it right off at the pass.
I did. I was like, I'm good. I can be honest.
Did he find it humorous?
Oh, he thought it was hysterical. And that's how I discovered that they were brothers. Which is really dumb, because if you saw them now, they look exactly alike. Like, how I did not know they were siblings is beyond me.
Well, we will continue this story from this rule follower when we get back from this break. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Grigg, a life and recovery coach with Pikes Peak Recovery Coaching. I've had the pleasure and privilege of helping people for over 25 years. I want to hear your story, support and encourage you while we partner together to help you reach your goals. I can help you. I am certain I can help you. I can be your guide, role model, resource person, and help you get results. What's my coaching frameworks? I'm an eclectic coach drawing from a variety of disciplines and frameworks with evidence-based proven methods. What would you like to work on? Some popular areas are goal setting and attainment, building and maintaining motivation, finding purpose, personal development, recovery from drug and alcohol addiction problems, health and wellness, life planning, athletic and creative artist performance enhancement, maybe something else. Just ask me. I would love to help you. You can find my services on Fiverr.com.
So going back, as far as I can understand, your boyfriend just found out that you figured out who his brother is. He had a wild night.
I only kissed the guy. Wasn't that big a deal? And I won $25.
So you outdid your friend in picking up guys. And he thought it was hilarious. So
he did.
Was this how the relationship got going?
Totally, yep. Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. He was a good guy. He still is. He was a perfect gentleman. I remember when we went skiing, because again, I agreed to go skiing with him. That was our first date. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, why am I here? But I've always been that person. If I tell you I'm going to do something, then I do it. And we went skiing all day, and he carried my skis, and he opened doors, and he wouldn't let me buy my own lunch, and he just was a genuine man. He was a man. He wasn't a boy. He was genuine and super sweet. And I remember halfway through the ski day, I was like, I wish he would kiss me. And he'd get super close, and then he'd go, let's go ski, and he'd take off. And I was like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why won't he kiss me?
So he started playing a little hard to get.
He did, and he was a
Oh.
jerk. I was mad.
So what was
Because I thought I lost my mojo at the ripe old age of 21.
So what did you think when you were playing those games?
It was okay. So then I had this brilliant idea that I was going to fall, right? That's as far as I got. And on the, and if you know Mammoth, you'll know what I'm talking about. On the flattest part of chair 12, I was concocting my plan, and I caught an edge on the stupidest part of this whole slope, and I biffed it. And I had a yard sale. Like, skis went everywhere, my glasses exploded and broke, my poles were over there, and I'm laying in the snow and I'm laughing at myself because I just ate it on a flat part. Like, this is stupid, because I'm trying to be tricky. And my husband stops and he turns around and he hikes back over to where I'm at, and I'm laughing. He thinks I'm crying and hurt. And I just attacked him.
You
Right there.
I did. I grabbed him and I pulled him down and I kissed him. I didn't want to wait anymore.
Wow.
So was that against the rules or for the rules, or it didn't matter?
There were no rules.
No
The rules
and
were
love and
gone.
war, right?
So your husband believed at that point that you had feelings for him.
Yes. Very strong ones. We had like an instant connection. So the crazy part was we met, and the first time I kissed him was on January 26th, 28th, somewhere in there.
Close to your birthday.
Mm-hmm. I was only 21 for 3 weeks, and we got married that following June.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty romantic.
And we've been married for 25 years.
That's even more romantic.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, and I would have a good sense of how much time we have left for this segment if I had a timer. But we'll ask a few
4
questions.
minutes and 2 seconds.
Yeah. So you became a stay-at-home mom. Tell us about that experience with your first child and other children.
Awful.
It was awful.
It was awful.
What did you do? What made it awful?
I love my children, but my first daughter, and she knows this, so I'm not sharing anything she doesn't already know. She was a pill. That child cried for everything and anything and would not stop crying. You know, most kids, you put them in the car seat when they're infants and then take them for a drive in the car and they fall asleep. Not this one.
She's kind of tough.
She was rough. And I realized like 3 months into it that I either was not cut out to be a mom or I was not cut out to be her mom.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
you sold her to...
I thought about it a couple times. She was just rough, and I didn't know, but I realized that if I didn't have the tools to be a good mom, then I needed to get the tools to be a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because failing at being a mom was not an option for me.
Sure,
Somebody
of
had
course.
already, in my opinion, failed at being a mom to me, and I was not going to fail at being a mom to my own kids.
So you were very motivated to
So
learn.
I was very motivated to learn, and it's always been if I don't have the tools, somebody teach them to me, and I'm still that way. If I don't have the skill set to get through this, then I need to figure out how to get that skill set. And I did parenting classes, and I started taking child development classes online and at the community college, and she's still alive today, and I'm still alive today, so I think we did all right.
Sounds awesome. And we're going to find out more about after this commercial timeout. We sure hope you're enjoying this episode of The Third Chair.
Would you like to be a sponsor for the Third Chair?
We would love to have you join us to keep the show going and also help your business. Send us an email about your product or company and let's talk.
And follow us on social media.
Now back to The Third Chair.
Yes.
Welcome back to The Third Chair and our special guest, Monique Foster. Where we last left off, we had been talking about the fact that after your first child, she was tough to raise, and that motivated you to learn a lot about parenting. Well, sometime during all this, between the breastfeeding and the sleepless nights, you had a craving to found a business.
I did.
Tell us about that.
Oh, well, I decided to open a childcare. Hopefully that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, we agreed not to talk about that other thing yet.
Oh, I was hoping it was the other business.
I decided to get my childcare license, and because I thought maybe if she had someone to play with, it would be better, and socializing. So that was the start of my home-based childcare. And then I had 6 kids with me at all times between the ages of a month to 3. And that was a lot of diapers, a lot of potty training, a lot of adventures to the park. And then I also worked in the evenings at the local grocery store as a bagger and in the service deli and decorating cakes and things like that.
So you were affectionately known as a bag lady?
I was known as the bag lady. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
the best bag
and you
lady.
also so boy, that sounded like long days and nights. You decorated cakes as well?
I did. It was so much fun. I still do it.
Do you really?
I really do.
As a side business or as
just for fun for my kids and friends once in a while.
I could see if you're having a tough day with kids, just having like a big tube of frosting and just being able to go, yeah.
Oh, yeah, my kid would hate great. That.
Yeah. Well, if they're shooting at each other, that would be fun. But this also brought in some bucks.
It did. It really did. It supported our family, and I got to cook, which it has always been one of my coping skills, I guess. So I provided breakfast, lunch, and 2 snacks for the kiddos that I watched, including infant toddlers that were doing solid foods.
So did you have different rates? Like if you want me to watch your kid and change 1 diaper and give 1 meal, that was like
$20.
Yeah. But if you wanted me to change 2 diapers and feed the kid twice, that was like $40. Is that?
No, I did do if their kids if they wanted me to do their meals, then they paid $5 more. But that was really it.
That was it. But still, you were able to turn a profit?
Absolutely.
And did the child that had been difficult play contently?
She did. She mellowed out, and it really did help a ton to have other children there to socialize her. And I mean, she still had her little fits here and there, but it was a lot easier. It was easier to be her mom with other kids there than it was to just have her alone.
So you had 2 more kids. Did you continue different businesses even with the other children? Or what did you do?
My second daughter was born 2 years after my first. And I had continued my childcare when I had my second daughter. So I could be home with her when she was an infant, which made breastfeeding and all that fun stuff more, a little easier. And I still worked in the evenings. And when she was about 2 years old, that's when I interviewed. I was referred by the store manager to the pharmacist to work as a pharmacy technician. And I interviewed for that job, and I got that job. So I closed my childcare so that I could work days. And then my children went to daycare and preschool. And I began my pharmacy technician job.
Gotcha. Did you have an additional side hustle while you're doing pharmacy technician during the day?
I really didn't. I continued, I guess I sort of did. I continued to do ski school, but as an instructor, but only on the weekends and only on Saturdays. Our children basically grew up skiing, so their daycare was up at our main lodge, and once they hit the age where they could go to ski school, they did ski school. So they've been skiing since they were 3 and 4.
Yeah, that sounds like that would have been fun. I think
oh my gosh.
I grew up skiing in Vancouver, Grouse, Whistler, all those mountains, and so I know.
They don't compare to Mammoth, sorry.
Oh, well, Whistler did have the Winter Olympics one year, so it's
Mammoth
pretty
does
good.
World Cup all the time.
Doesn't? Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
wow. This is getting competitive.
when you go to Whistler, you can pay in Canadian dollars.
Oh,
That's
well,
right.
when
So
you
you
work
bring $10.
when you work for the mountain, you get to ski for free.
Oh, that.
Beat that, Peter.
That's it. I give up. As a matter of fact, I'm so devastated from this interview. I may need to cry and hold that doll again.
Doug on a rug.
So you did pharmacy tech, and then I know
did.
you did a bunch of other. We listed the other
Yes.
educational things. Anything? Any special comments about any of the degrees or certificates you did that have special memories or meaning?
Yes. So I did my pharmacy degree, and I also congruently went back to community college while I was there and got my EMTB. And then once I finished my EMTB, I did volunteer work with our community emergency response team, the CERT team. And that was incredible. It was, they teach you how to shelter in place, and I helped them with creating a curriculum to teach or practice, like practical.
Sheltering in place, like on the mountain?
Thank you. Sheltering in place when we have snowstorms, where we have out of town visitors in and there's a lot of people. So how do we make that work in a small community that only has 4 signals? Where do we put all these people? Because when you have tourists in town and your population explodes to tens of thousands of people, when you don't normally have that, you have some that are stuck in town, and then the incoming people who are trying to come into their condos. Like, what do you do with that? So how do we change our high school and our elementary schools into shelters, basically, so that we can house everybody and feed everybody?
I've always wanted to know, during these times of crisis, do you like charge someone to stay at the high school?
You don't. No, you make it happen. You just make it happen.
It's like, the hotel normally charges $100 a night, but we'll give you a blanket, and you can sit
And
by
a
the
cot.
fireplace in a cot, and it only costs you
You have a
$20.
cot? Wow.
If you get a blanket and a cot, and that's $300. At least you're not in the snow, man.
Yeah, that's the Snowtown
It was-
prices. Yeah.
It was really fun to work with the fire department and the police department and my fellow community members to figure out, how to shore a collapsed building when you need to pull somebody out. And, it was fun. That some of my fondest memories are working with the CERT team and organizing community affairs and parking, and much like the CERT team does here in Colorado Springs for what is it that we have? Territory Days. You see the CERT members out there for that, or when we have car accidents, which happen all the time. Colorado people don't know how to drive in the snow. Just an FYI. I'm a California girl, and I drive better than all y'all.
Yeah.
I don't understand
because there's
Colorado drivers.
That's because there's already a bunch of them from California here.
Whatever.
Listen, I'm from Canada, and I know that Colorado and California drivers don't know how to drive in the snow.
Colorado drivers scare me.
But I was in California, and it snowed in the mountains north of LA, and the 2 people in front of me had an accident, and I was barely stopped. And that was on the highway, like 8 lanes or something in the mountains.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You're probably like the San Bernardino Mountains. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then we got to...
That's where my dad lives.
I think we stayed in a hotel in Oceanside, and I had a Charlie horse because I was so tense from driving.
From driving from the mountains to Oceanside, that's a hefty drive in one day.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, well, let's get back to. I was going to make a really terrible joke about, the CERT team. Are you certain that was a good memory? But
I am absolutely certain that it was a great memory.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some volunteer work and what it's meant for you and your family. Volunteering in the community. Why do you do it? What kinds of things have you done?
I want to teach my children that they need to help not people that are less fortunate than you, because I don't think that's a fair summation. I want to teach them to just help people because it's the right thing to do. When my daughter when we still lived in Mammoth, she was in, I want to say 8th grade. She has seen my servant's heart. She has seen her grandfather, my stepdad, buy food for people on the side of the road and or invite them in for a meal and sit at a restaurant with them. That's what he modeled for me as well growing up. And I wanted to do the same thing. So she put together a food drive for Thanksgiving, and I have pictures of her so cute with 15 boxes that she put together with our community of turkeys and everything you can possibly imagine that you need for a Thanksgiving dinner. And then she went out into our community and gave these boxes of Thanksgiving food all by herself. Like there was nobody prompted her. She just did it alone.
That was good. She role modeled that, and the message got home.
And it made me feel good. But when we moved here, it was really hard because, you know, I didn't know where to start or what to do. And our church actually partnered with Crossfire Ministries. And for quite some time, I was part of, that's where I found my niche, you know, where I want to be and what I want to do. And they have a food bank that you can go to, and they get a whole bunch of produce. And for a little while there, I was reprocessing produce for them.
We got to hold that thought just for a moment. And when we get back, we're going to talk about repurposing produce that's donated to a volunteer organization. And I hope you haven't had your dinner. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Peter Grigg on the set of The Third Chair. Our company, 2 Men and a Duck Entertainment, are excited about supporting Quantum Leap Recovery, an audio podcast that talks about all issues about drug and alcohol recovery. So watch for it and listen to it, and it'll be a great time of learning, and hopefully it'll help people that are struggling with these issues have a healthier life. Thank you very much.
Welcome back, and on our final section of this 2-part episode, we're going to
I'm so interesting.
That's right. We're going to talk to where you are in life now. And
I'm right here.
Well, that might answer the first question.
Monique what is great here?
What is great about your life right now?
Oh man, so many things. I have 3 amazing children.
That's great.
I've got one that's married and bought her own house, and one in the Army, and a 15-year-old who's learning to fly a plane, and he's in Civil Air Patrol and Young Marines and has a servant's heart as well. I've been married for 25 years to the love of my life. That's pretty amazing.
That's great.
I still like him. He still likes me. You know, we look forward to having an empty house one day. It's not that far away now, which is kind of cool. I have an amazing job. I just started a new position in November, and I just love it. I love getting up and going to work every day.
But
I'm still here.
You won't have a complete empty house because I hear you have a couple of dogs.
I do have a couple of dogs.
What do you name them?
I have a Min Pin, and I have a pit bull, and their names are Tess and Tickles.
Why did you name them that?
Testicles.
Testicles. Okay, so I named my dogs Testicles because I wanted to have...
Are they males?
I have a male and a female. The pit bull is a female, and the Min Pin is a male. But we envisioned when we had 2 girls that we were going to have pit bulls or Rottweilers or Dobermans. And when boys wanted to take our girls on a date, I could yell, "Testicles down!"
Well, that's I've heard of using a shotgun to make a message.
Did you ever get to do that?
No.
Oh, that would have been a really great story. Now, speaking of boys coming over, I heard you learned about martial arts. So is that to keep the boys off the girls?
Well, so there's a couple of reasons why. So both my girls did Kung Fu, and so did I when we lived in Mammoth. When we had girls, given my story, I wanted to make sure that my daughters knew how to defend themselves if they found themselves in a position like I was in. I didn't have the wherewithal. So I wanted to change their story. I wanted to make sure they could protect themselves if they ever had a situation like mine. And then when we moved here, we couldn't find anywhere that did kung fu that we learned, or the style, I guess it's called. And we started doing Krav Maga. So my oldest daughter doesn't do Krav Maga, but my middle daughter did. Now she's in the Army. And my husband, my son, and I, we all go 2 to 3 nights a week.
What's Krav Maga?
Israeli fighting.
Oh,
Krav Maga.
Krav Maga.
Is that how you say it? I'm
Krav
not going
Maga.
to try again. So how's that different from other martial arts?
It's real life. So on last Wednesday when I was training, we learned how to get out of a chokehold. So if somebody's coming at you and choking you, how do you get out of that? If somebody's pointing a gun at you, how do you get out of the way of a pistol and then take the pistol from the person pointing it at you before you're harmed? So it's real life scenarios.
Do you have matches of this? Does somebody stand up?
You can, but I don't do that. And we can test for like levels and whatnot, but I don't do that. I just do it for fitness and self-defense.
Interesting.
And I kind of love beating things up.
I'm feeling
Things, not people.
So what do you beat up? The bags or?
So I have a it's called a bob. It's a whole torso and head in my garage. So if I'm having a particularly tense day, I get to go punch Bob a few times in the face if I need to.
So you're just practicing your...
Practice my punches.
Poor Bob has to take it.
Yeah, Bob has no
jab,
arms
cross,
or legs.
jab, cross, uppercut.
That sounds fun. Okay, now last question.
All right, are you sure?
No,
probably not.
He's not certain.
I'm never certain of anything. What saying do you live by?
Do what you love, the rest will follow.
That's a great saying.
And I truly believe that, in a time when we're all worried about money and finances, I have always done what I love, from decorating cakes to working in pediatric oncology, which is awe-inspiring and such an honor to be part of that journey, to now I'm a front office supervisor, and I'm not supervising people to make them feel small. I'm trying to encourage them to grow and be more or better tomorrow than they are today. It's if you do what you love, everything else will follow.
And skiing.
Skiing.
Do you still ski?
No, it's too expensive.
Yeah, I was going
It's
to
gotta
say,
be
yeah.
expensive. I don't get to do it for free anymore.
The other
I'm
thing
spoiled.
too is I've just had too many friends that have blown out their knees.
8 surgeries, baby.
8 surgeries?
On my right knee.
Wow.
Yeah, on my left I've had, I think, 4.
But I blew my knee out the first time at Kirkwood in Tahoe, and the second time I was swing dancing. So it wasn't all ski injuries.
Oh, yeah, well, the first time I did is when I was playing hockey. The second time I was doing it was defending myself against 2 giant pit bulls.
Ooh.
And a battalion of Marines.
And their names weren't Tess and Tickles, right?
Yeah. Well, I was doing some census work. I was actually charged by this giant pit bull down in Pueblo. And the owners were yelling at me, "Don't worry, she's friendly," as I see her running at me full speed. And I'm going, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And she stopped right there and started licking my hand.
Yep.
It's not what I expected.
Most of them are like that. That's how mine is. She'll run and just like that with her tongue hanging out. So if you actually take a second to take in her facial expression, you know that she's cool. And then she'll stop right in front of you and chest bump you. She wants you to pet her. She's like, hey.
Yeah, I think I dated some nurses in college that were like that.
That's another show.
Oh man, I am so in trouble. Well, we'd like to thank you, Monique, for joining us and sharing this insight. On the screen, we're going to put some helpful information. If you or someone you know or someone you love or friends or associates need some help with some of these issues we've talked about, there'll be some contact information on the screen. And again, we thank you, and we'll see you again next week.
Want to be a guest? Want to sponsor our show? Send us an email. Please subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media.